Alright, so here we have two new motors from my RC Mart. These are the RCX LS2207-2400KV and LS2207-2700KV. There's also a 1700 kV version of the same motor, but I don't have that one, so only these two for testing. My RC Mart was kind enough to send me two sets, one set of each motor, so 8 motors total. For testing, so that I can get some results for you guys. You can check them out and see how they compare to other motors. I requested full sets because I suggested to my RC Mart that it would be a good idea if we give them away. If we give a set away to a lucky viewer, I told them that that'd be good publicity and as a way to thank viewers if they could help me out with that. So they said yes. So they sent me 8 motors, one set of 2400 kV and one set of 2700 kV. So all you guys have to do is just put one comment on the video. Just don't put more than one comment because then you'll be disqualified, and unfortunately I'll only be able to ship these to people within the US. So I know I have a lot of viewers from abroad, from other countries, so I want to apologize for not including you guys in the in the raffle. So sorry about that, but it just gets too difficult and complicated to send that stuff overseas. But I'll have to say that if you do want to participate and you're willing to pay for shipping out of the US to your country, that's fine too. I think most US shipping to outside runs around I want to say around $25. Last time I tried to ship something by USPS Global, it was around $25, I think. So it's kind of expensive, and then you probably have to pay customs fees there. So it's almost as much as buying it from my RCX. These motors are low budget motors from RCX, so they're only $12 with the warranty, and if you opt to go without the warranty, so that cuts out $2, so they're only $10 per motor. So a set is like $40 plus shipping. So these are based off the NK2207, which I recently also reviewed and tested. So basically it's the same armature, same shaft. And what they're saying is the difference is that they're using different bearings, more generic bearings, and also the magnets are different, and they're also saying the steel on the stator is different. But it doesn't mean that the motor is going to perform poorly, so I would imagine it's only going to be slightly less powerful. The bearing though, that's the one good thing that RCX uses in their bearings for their other motors. They use ISO bearings, which are Japanese, and those are pretty high grade bearings, so I like those bearings a lot. They do sell them in their store, so you can always replace them later with really good bearings. You could just use those and see how long they last, and when it comes time to replace them, just get a set of ISO bearings and just put those in. So overall, it looks the same as the NK2207. So I'll link that test on the video. So it'll be a link right there. So as you saw on that review, is pretty much all the latest features on this motor. Naked bottom, small base. Looks like a 16 by 16 pattern, and 18 gauge wire. So pretty nice and beefy wire for this motor, so should be able to handle all the current that these 2207s are gonna pull from the battery. So one piece hollow shaft, and it is hollow all the way through, so that's good. And there's a shaft retaining screw right there. It's one of those smaller screws. Let's weigh this motor with the 100. This is 150 millimeters worth of wire. So let's see what it weighs with that wire. and that comes into 35.3 grams. So if we cut it to 50 millimeters, we'll be getting of 3.3 grams. So that's quite a good amount of weight. So the motor itself is about 32 grams, 31.9. So not too bad for a 2207. Most top-end 2207s are between 31 and 32 grams. So that's right on the spot. So pretty good weight on that motor. I'll see if I can remove that easily, if it's easy to remove, and we'll pull it apart and just have a look, have a closer look. So removing the shaft retaining screw with a decent Allen driver, it's not too bad. It does have enough Loctite to keep it in place, but luckily they didn't use the nasty stuff, which is like really hard glue. So that comes off pretty easily, and it looks like there's a brass washer right there, and hollow shaft all the way through, so that's pretty good. So let's see, pulls apart pretty easily, and there's the 4mm shaft, and as you can see, the magnet looks like they do have a little bit of a curve right there. They're not really that chunky, so that's kind of interesting. We'll see how that performs. There's the stator, same as the NK 2207, so it should be 7 millimeters. So that's the nominal 7 millimeters height on the stator, and wires, so it looks like they're using multi-strand wire. It looks like a bundle of 3 wires. So it's kind of interesting. Bearings are just generic bearings, but they say that they should be pretty good. They're lower quality than the ISO bearings that the NK 2207s use, but on the RCX website it says that they're pretty good quality still. So we'll see how those do after you guys abuse them. I guess we'll see the reports later. So we'll put this back together and see how the motor, how this motor performs on the thrust stand, and we'll do the usual KV measurement and usual propellers. And as typical with a lot of the RCX motors, the bearings are pretty easy to remove, so that's a big plus. So they comes off pretty easily, and goes in pretty easily as well. Alright, so I'll put that screw back in, and we'll see how it does. Alright, so let's look at the thrust test results for the RCX LS2207-2400KV. As you saw, the motor came in at
slightly higher, 2500 kV. So I think in this case that's a good thing. A little bit higher kV than 2400 should be better for 5-inch props. So based on that kV, I went ahead and tested on 3S, 4S, and 5S. The usual props, 5 and 6 inch, starting with the GenFan 5045BN. That made 1449 grams of thrust at about 39 amps. Pretty manageable amps. That's about 23 amps in max burst in flight. Then we move on to the HQ 5043x3V1S. Higher thrust at 1500 grams, and of course higher amps, 41.2. That's equivalent to about 25 amps. Still pretty good. Of course this motor is not as high as kV as the other one I tested, which is pretty high at about 2800 kV. So the amp draw is going to be quite reasonable here throughout the tests. On 5S, this motor really wakes up at almost 2 kilograms, so 1952 grams of thrust at 53 amps. And that's actually still quite manageable for 30 amp PSCs, because that's about 32 amps, and that's max burst. So you're only going to see that for less than a second. As the battery voltage drops off, that's going to be lower. So pretty manageable on 5S, I think. The 5045x3 came out at 1576. Still manageable amps, 44.4, that's about 27 amps, a max burst. Then onto the Dial C5046x3, 1600 grams at 47.5, so pretty good. Then 5045x3, 1633 at 47. Then the 5.5 inch BN prop, 1723. Then we move on to the 6-inch props. HQ 6045 at 1878 and 55.8 amps. That's about 33 amps max burst. Again, keep in mind all these are max burst amps, so that's only for a very short time. The equivalent in flight is going to be about 35 to 40% lower than that, and that's also going to be max burst. So the steady amp draw is going to be even lower than that. That's why we can use these motors on 4S, and even 25 amp PSCs still work and don't go up in smoke. On 3S, the 6040, almost 1300 grams at very efficient 36.3 amps. That's equivalent to about 22 amps. So for those guys that like to use these for park flyers, this could be a good option to get longer flights. Then finally 6040 on 4S, 1876 at 52 amps. So all across the board, this motor is pretty efficient. Overall, pretty good results out of these low budget motor from my RC Mart. That'll be a good option for those of you that just want a motor for freestyling and nothing too radical. So pretty good motors coming out of RCX, low budget motors. So we still have to see how durable these motors turn out and how good the bearings survive abuse after crashing and all that. So I'm sure there's going to be reports pretty soon once people start using them. But overall, from the test, you can see that these motors are pretty capable for the. But overall, these motors are turning out to be very capable on the tests, and based on their price, they offer very good value for the money. So hopefully they do turn out to be durable. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Alright, hope you find the test information useful, and until the next video. As a footnote, I'll be announcing the winner for the 2700 kV set of motors pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that video. I'll just make a separate video just showing the draw, and I'll announce the winner. So good luck to everyone. So I'll leave this video playing about the same time, a couple of weeks, so that people have a chance to enter with their comments. And again, thanks to my RC Mart for sending me these 2 sets of motors to give away for you guys. So thank you for the viewers. So thanks, my RC Mart.